Good day, how are you? Let us talk about state security. A state security agent is someone who works, it's a job, it's not a privilege, who works to secure the state. And what is the state? It is the general well being of everyone who is a member of that society. This case in point, with reference to Zimbabwe, a national security state agent's job is to secure the general well-being of all Zimbabweans. The state as an entity, it protects the general integrity of everyone, their human rights, their employability, their access to opportunities, and also to promote fairness and equality in our society. What has happened in Zimbabwe is the corruption in the agents that work for the state. The state itself, on its own, cannot be corrupt because the state is not a human being. The state is an abstract entity that we all exist in as Zimbabweans. But however, it is run by individuals. When individuals whose job is to run the state apparatus, when those individuals begin to collude amongst each other and begin to view the state as themselves and not all of us, and therefore think that enemies of the state are enemies of them as a small group that has now dedicated its life to the massive looting of everyone else's resources, which is the looting of the state resources, and justifying that by saying Takarwa Wondo as if they're the only ones who went to the war. And most of them didn't even go to the war. They are just young people who are 30 years, 40 years. Which war did they go to? So the collusion itself is a crime against the citizenry, because when you work for the state, the citizens put their trust in you. Whether you're a member of parliament, or you're a minister, or even you're in the judiciary, or you're in police, or you're a soldier, or you're an intelligence agent, all of those jobs are given to you because the general public puts its trust on you. You do not deserve those jobs. You are not entitled to those jobs, so do not feel entitled. And that power belongs to the people, not to you, but it is given to you in trust, so that the people, whilst they're doing their other daily activities, you be focused on making sure that they are protected as a community. However, the crime scene in Zimbabwe is that security cluster itself, it is rendered itself or its services invalid, and therefore as the people of Zimbabwe we need now to have a new security cluster. This one has gone rogue. It goes around killing people who correct it. When people correct the state agents or the state agency, they, the individuals, the people, not the state, because the state is an entity, the people who work for the state take it upon themselves to kill and destroy and nullify whatever point of progress that is coming from a citizen. As a citizen of Zimbabwe myself, I actually have the right to demand justice. I've got the right to demand answers from the state agents who are supposed to be working for us. I also have the right to fire them together with my other citizens because they work for us, not us working for them. So you see, Idim Nangagwa and the state security agents and Banemanyembe and as they parade themselves in their pride and arrogance, they make the general population of Zimbabwe so fearful of the army, the soldiers, and the weaponry that they have, so that the people might think that they are servants of the military. As citizens of Zimbabwe, we are not subjects of the military of Zimbabwe. On the contrary, the military generals are subjects to us. They are subject to our scrutiny because what they have is jobs. Okay, they're not kings. They didn't conquer us. For you to be an army general, you don't need to go to war and conquer people. No, you are just appointed. It's a job. You apply, you make a CV, go for an interview, you get the job. Same applies with the deputy lieutenant, and all the people with nyembes, all of those people that work in the military barracks, all right, all of them did not go to some world war to secure the Zimbabwe. It is just generally a job that is handed over to you because we think that we have got the mental acuity or the mental capacity, physical attributes to be able to withstand the pressures that come with the job of securing the state. It's not yours. We have got a problem there with the state apparatus in Zimbabwe. They don't understand that it's not theirs. So when you are now in the military, you do not use that job therefore to go to Chiadzo Diamond and loot there and kill the Zimbabweans that are picking diamonds because the diamonds are in their country. You kill them and you secure for the military. But by the military, you do not mean the entity that protects all of us. By military, you are meaning you, gentlemen in the military, and ladies as well. You people in the military begin to believe that the military state belongs to you. You begin to confiscate the general power of everybody else. You breaking the social contract that we have had with the people of Zimbabwe, who who gave you that job via the presidency, because the president also appoints people in the military. So him himself, the president himself, does not even he's not even a king. He is a subject of the general population of Zimbabwe. But because they have corrupted and subverted the constitution and subverted the matters of men, it now appears as if the Zimbabwean population are subjects to Idi Mnangagwa and his wife and his children and his son PF. The sheer arrogance of giving all that power of the country, the national, the access to national resources, the management of the national weaponry. Okay, national weaponry, including state security agents, including the police, including the military itself. Those are vessels of honor. Those are vessels of glory of the community, which is the nation of Zimbabwe. Those vessels need, therefore, gentlemen and women of integrity who will hold them with utmost care and manifest the ability to understand that they are serving the interests of the general well-being of the nation. That's what makes statehood. That's what makes a country a country. Otherwise, if we do not have that kind of condition in the nation, we have got no country at all. We just have land that has got diamonds and gold, and then we've got the lords who lord over us, which is Etim Nangagwa and ZANU-PF and the Zimbabwe military. And you be unfortunate to have been born in Zimbabwe because there's no country like that. Well, and number two, it is not the duty of the United States or the international community to make sure that our state of being is okay. Though it is generally an accepted practice that the United Nations after the Second World War, because of its intention of fighting poverty, and also not only after the Second World War, but also after the fall of the Berlin Wall, after the communism was destroyed, the United States took it upon itself to have this global policing network, trying to ensure that there's democracies around the world and to give make sure that the poor people or the weak people have got their rights respected and the general citizens are not abused by this kind of state agents. But ever since the 90s until now, there has been a decline in the US policing efforts. We are seeing the re-emergence of characters like Vladimir Putin, who are now want to distort that global order of good governance, who invade Ukraine and are aiding Iran. And we're seeing Iran as well coming up against Israel. We are seeing another point of view. We are seeing countries that are revolting against the global order and the rise in totalitarianism and tyranny in many countries, including Zimbabwe. And it seems like the United States has taken a step back in that role of global policing, which unfortunately leaves the general population in a state of in a state of abuse by our state agents. And we are constantly told that as Zimbabweans, we must sort out our own problems, whatever that means, because sorting out our problems without military weapons against a group of people who have got military weapons, we have got policing weapons, we've got intelligence weapons. Those weapons are ours, but because they have colluded and committed this crime against the citizens of Zimbabwe, citizens of Zimbabwe are not even allowed, even by the constitution of Zimbabwe, the things that I do on my channel to speak to other countries about um, our condition. They, the General Chiwengas and the Mnangagwas, they've made it a crime for any Zimbabwean to go and talk to any foreigner concerning their state of being in Zimbabwe. So you see that this totalitarian regime is tightening its screws on making sure that the people never get out of poverty. And they do not care about the general well-being of the people. They don't care about fighting poverty. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, there was a general consensus around the world that we are going to fight poverty. China fought poverty. China uplifted 800 million of its people out of poverty. That's why now it is the second biggest economy in the world. India as well has lifted millions of hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. And therefore, that's why we see now there is the G8, the G20, and there's a global working together general for fighting poverty. We have fought HIV, AIDS, we have fought cholera, we have fought polio in Africa through the Bill Gates Foundation. So this massive global move for good for humanity, when humanity is entering another stage of development, is certainly under threat by people like Emerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF. And it really calls for the global forces right now to rethink strategy, to rewind and see how far has the global leaders been slaking at promoting democracy and promoting equality in failed states like Zimbabwe. Trying to understand that if Zimbabwe is led like that in other countries like Zimbabwe, the rot can grow and across the whole world until the rotten ones are much more powerful than the wise ones. And when they are more powerful than the wise ones, then we're talking about a global war in which the United States loses. By United States losing, I'm talking about the global good losing. The project of peace will be under threat. So we need to re-examine our stance on Zimbabwean politics as the citizens of the world now. Now I speak as a citizen of the world. Because remember, Zimbabwe is not an island. As a citizen of Zimbabwe, I do not exist, or we do not exist as a nation alone. We also exist as a citizenry of the whole earth. So the earth itself is an entity which has got its own governance structures, which we cannot run away from because we're an international community. So now, speaking not as a Zimbabwean, but as a global citizen, it is important for us to look at the pockets of countries like Zimbabwe and other failed states and reconsider the consequences of letting those states carry on in decay. The consequences will manifest on a global scale and will be negative to all the other countries in the world, not just Zimbabwe. So I think it is prudent for us as citizens of the world to consider the situation of Zimbabwe not as a Zimbabwean situation alone, but as a matter of urgency for everybody else in the whole world, recognizing that the impact Zimbabwe has on the global landscape. We do recognize that even Europe itself is fighting a migrant crisis which stems from the political mayhem in the Middle East and in Africa. To close the gap of disparity in European communities, one wonders why the European Union does not consider promoting good governance in the countries of origin of the immigrants, whom they are now calling the invading forces. So you begin to see that this globalization, this open border system, actually we don't even need open border system. People can just get into countries, whichever country that they want to get into, even if the border is closed. You can always jump the border. You can always break the law. So the point I'm saying is that global leaders like the European Union In the United States itself, Donald Trump on his campaign trail keeps on talking about people are going to run away from America the moment he is president of the United States next year, meaning that he too does not want foreigners in the United States. Now, it's very simple. It's not about closing the border because we cannot close the border. People always find their way in. What we need to close is to close tyranny, totalitarian in the countries of origin. As the global superpower, the United States must take a stand position and stand up and be tall against these small town bullies like Idi Mnangagwa. Yes, sir. Mnangagwa is a small town bully. These are small boys in small countries like Zimbabwe who are bullying other people who are weaker than them, as if there's nobody who is stronger than Idi Mnangagwa and General Chiwenga and the Zimbabwe military. We as the citizens of the world must come against that Zimbabwe military, Idi Mnangagwa, with the whole might and fight of the global entity, and they shall know that never again, not in our name, not in the name of democracy, not in the name of sovereignty, shall the people of Zimbabwe or any other state be threatened by the national leaders and the army of their country. If we fix Zimbabwe right, all the all the other generals in other countries and all the other authoritarians around the world will look and see and marvel and fear and shake, and they will begin to do right for their citizens as well. For that is how we should carry forward the project of peace, reconciliation, and fighting global hunger, fighting HIV/AIDS, malaria, polio, and all other diseases, and promoting a general well-being for the population of the world. My name is Ngobani Zondo, and I'm putting my head forward for leading Zimbabwe and Africa and the rest of the world forward to a place of glory, a place of honor, a place where this planet can be rejuvenated as we even fight global warming and other menaces like terrorism and all the other global threats that face us as the citizens of the world. Let us work together, therefore, as I invite you to work with me in removing Emerson Mnangagwa, ZANU-PF, and the Zimbabwe military from destroying the lives of Zimbabweans. Have a great day.